One day you wake up one morning, ready to visit your dream property, only to find a massive steel gate blocking the entrance. No warning, no explanation, just a cold, unyielding barrier with a bold sign, property of Crestview HOA. It's as if your future has been locked away overnight. That's exactly what happened to me 3 months ago, and it hit like a freight train. But here's the twist, I'd been preparing for this moment for 5 years. That gate wasn't their victory, it was their trap, and they strolled right into it, one arrogant step at a time. Hey, where are you watching this from? Drop a comment below, I'm genuinely curious to know who's out there. Now, grab a seat, because I'm about to unravel the saga of how a powerful HOA family tried to steal my land and ended up losing their reputation, their power, and facing a legal storm that turned their pristine Orange County empire into a cautionary tale. My name is Sam Carter, a 38-year-old software engineer with a mind built for precision. Back in my Silicon Valley days, designing security systems for tech giants, I earned a nickname, the Prophet. My colleagues swore I could code solutions for problems that hadn't even surfaced yet, anticipating glitches like a chess master reading a board. That foresight, that ability to lay traps within traps, became my greatest weapon when I locked horns with the Crestview Homeowners Association, one of the most ruthless HOAs in Orange County, California. 5 years ago, after a decade of scraping by in tiny apartments and funneling every paycheck into savings, I bought my dream property, 5 acres of untouched land on the outskirts of Crestview, an elite gated community perched in the rolling hills above Laguna Beach. My vision was ambitious but clear. An energy-efficient, off-grid home with a workshop for my robotics and renewable energy projects, surrounded by open fields and a Pacific Ocean view that turned every sunset into a private masterpiece. The land was everything I'd worked for: space, solitude, and a horizon that felt like freedom. What I didn't know was that this same view had sparked a dangerous obsession in someone far more powerful than I could have imagined. Eleanor Caldwell, 57, was the undisputed queen of Crestview. A New York heiress with old money and a steely grip on power, she ruled the HOA like a monarch, her word law among the manicured estates and multi-million-dollar mansions. To Eleanor, my plan for a modest, modern home built by a single, middle-class engineer was a personal insult to the exclusivity she'd spent decades curating. She wasn't alone in her crusade. Leonard Pierce, a 62-year-old retired corporate lawyer, was her loyal deputy, a man whose spineless deference made him a perfect enabler. Claire Gwynn, a 45-year-old real estate agent and HOA secretary, completed the inner circle, her ambition initially blinding her to Eleanor's excesses. Then there was Greg Torres, a 50-something county building inspector whose consulting fees from a Crestview-affiliated LLC ensured his loyalty. Rounding out the cast was Patricia Evans, a 60-year-old socialite and HOA treasurer, whose obsession with status made her a vocal supporter of Eleanor's schemes. The trouble began with a gold-embossed invitation to a Crestview HOA meeting to discuss boundary concerns. It arrived in my mailbox like a royal summons, but I was puzzled. My land wasn't part of their community, so their rules didn't apply. I sent a polite decline, explaining the obvious. That's when the mask slipped. What followed was a relentless, calculated campaign of harassment designed to grind me down until I'd sell my land for pennies. Fake violation notices arrived like clockwork. Excessive weed growth on land I hadn't touched, construction debris when I hadn't broken ground, unauthorized structures conjured from Eleanor's imagination. Each carried threats of fines or liens, baseless but intimidating to anyone unfamiliar with property law. Greg Torres began making unannounced visits, striding onto my land with a clipboard and a sneer, citing vague compliance issues that never held up under scrutiny. My permit applications vanished into bureaucratic limbo, delayed by mysterious clerical errors or incomplete documentation. I played the part of the overwhelmed landowner, calling the county to dispute violations, resubmitting paperwork, and even showing up at Greg's office to plead my case, all while documenting every move with obsessive precision. My background in security systems gave me an edge. I designed defenses for data centers, where a single breach could cost millions. Now, I was building a digital fortress around my land. Every notice, every hostile visit, every delay was logged in a cloud-based vault, timestamped, cross-referenced, and backed up on 3 servers. One sleepless night, digging through dusty county records in my rented Laguna Niguel apartment, I struck gold, a 1952 survey showing a public access road, never officially closed, running through the eastern edge of my property. Overgrown with decades of brush and absent from modern maps, it was a ghost road, but legally, it was my lifeline. Eleanor's entire strategy hinged on controlling the visible entrance bordering Crestview. She didn't know about this road, and that was her first fatal mistake. Further research revealed Eleanor's playbook. 15 years ago, she'd bullied another landowner, a retired teacher named Margaret Hensley, into selling with the same tactics: fake violations, permit delays, and a lowball offer framed as mercy. Margaret had caved, selling her land for a fraction of its value. The pattern was clear. Grind the target down until they begged to escape. "I'm not Margaret," I muttered, organizing the records into color-coded folders. "And I'm not playing her game." I brought in Mia Reynolds, a college friend turned real estate attorney with a razor-sharp mind and a knack for dismantling shady deals. My sister Lauren, a freelance journalist who thrived on exposing corruption, started attending Crestview's public meetings, blending into the crowd with her recorder hidden in a stylish tote bag. At one meeting, Eleanor went full theater, accusing me of planning a grotesque industrial eyesore that would devastate Crestview's property values. She flashed photoshopped images of a monstrous factory, claiming they were my blueprints, plans I'd never shared because they didn't exist. "Mr. Carter has no respect for our community's legacy," she declared, her voice trembling with rehearsed outrage. The residents gasped, lapping it up. Patricia Evans stood to applaud, rallying the crowd with a speech about protecting our way of life. Lauren's recorder captured every lie, every manipulative pause, and the crowd's murmurs of approval. As the harassment intensified, I uncovered Eleanor's true motive. Crestview's planned community center expansion, a pet project to secure her HOA presidency, was a cover. Claire, starting to question Eleanor's methods, slipped me an anonymous email with a bombshell: internal HOA documents revealing a secret deal with Horizon Development, a company tied to Eleanor's late husband, Richard Caldwell. They planned a luxury resort on the hillside, with my property as the linchpin due to its access to the main road and that coveted ocean view. Eleanor stood to pocket a $2 million consulting fee and a percentage of the resort's profits, none of which she'd disclosed to the HOA board. The stakes were personal, too. Claire's leaks included a memo hinting at Eleanor's vendetta. My land had once belonged to Richard's family, sold during a financial downturn 15 years ago. Eleanor claimed Richard, on his deathbed, made her promise to reclaim it to honor his legacy. The documents suggested otherwise. It was a narrative she'd crafted to justify her obsession, with the resort deal as her real prize. I decided to turn Eleanor's trap against her. Drawing on my security system expertise, I designed a high-tech honeypot. I built a decoy gate at the Crestview entrance, a sturdy steel structure rigged with hidden cameras, motion sensors, and audio recorders disguised as ornamental bolts, vines, and even a fake birdhouse. It looked like the only way in, and I made sure Eleanor's team noticed my frequent visits, acting increasingly desperate, pacing, tugging at the lock, muttering loudly about delays. Meanwhile, I hired Javier Morales, a 42-year-old contractor and high school buddy who'd worked on sensitive projects for government clients. Javier's team, sworn to secrecy and paid a premium for discretion, cleared the public access road at night. The work was brutal, hacking through decades of tangled brush and gnarled roots under moonlight, the ocean breeze masking the sound of chainsaws. By the end, the road was passable, winding through a wooded ravine to a clearing at the back of my property. It was my secret weapon. To confirm the road's legality, I tracked down Henry Walsh, a 70-year-old retired city planner who'd worked on Orange County's early development. Over coffee at his cluttered Laguna Beach bungalow, he spread out faded maps across his dining table, the air thick with the scent of old paper and stale cigarettes. "Eleanor's been bullying people for years," he said, his voice rough with years of chain smoking. "But she missed this." He jabbed a gnarled finger at the 1952 survey's thin line, the public road. "It's still active. The county never closed it. Restore it, and she's got no leverage." He leaned back, a sly grin spreading across his weathered face. "Give her hell, kid. I've waited years to see someone take her down." I also enlisted Rachel Kim, a 35-year-old environmental consultant who'd worked with Javier on past projects. Rachel ensured the road restoration complied with county regulations, securing permits under the radar to avoid tipping off Greg Torres. Meanwhile, I kept up the charade, staging frustrated attempts to access my land through the decoy gate. Eleanor's team escalated, hiring Mike Vargas, a 48-year-old ex-cop turned security chief with a chip on his shoulder and a penchant for intimidation. Mike's team patrolled the gate, blocking my intrusions with smug satisfaction. They filed fraudulent documents with the county, claiming partial ownership of my land based on a fabricated historical precedent. Worst of all, Mike's team broke through the gate they'd locked, trespassing to take photos, plant fake violation markers, and vandalize equipment I'd strategically left as bait: a generator, a stack of lumber, and a portable compressor. My cameras caught every act, Mike directing his men, one swinging a crowbar, another spray painting non-compliant on my equipment. Every move was another nail in their coffin. Claire's leaks grew bolder. She sent me Eleanor's direct orders to make Carter's life hell until he sells, a memo outlining her $2 million Horizon fee, and bank records showing Greg Torres payments. Lauren, meanwhile, dug into Eleanor's past, uncovering a pattern of HOA abuses, neighbors coerced into selling homes for minor violations, dissenters ostracized at community events, and budgets padded with questionable consulting contracts. Patricia Evans, it turned out, had funneled HOA funds to a friend's landscaping company for subpar work. The deeper we dug, the uglier it got. The trap sprang one crisp October morning when I arrived to find a new, heavy-duty gate at the Crestview entrance, emblazoned with "Property of Crestview HOA." I called the police, knowing they'd treat it as a civil matter, but I needed the paper trail. Officer Janet Ruiz, a 30-something cop with a no-nonsense demeanor, took my statement, her pen scratching impatiently. "This is a property dispute," she said, handing me a case number. "Get a lawyer." I nodded, playing the victim, while my dashcam and hidden sensors recorded the scene in crisp 4K. Eleanor couldn't resist gloating. An hour later, her sleek black BMW pulled up, Leonard trailing like a nervous puppy, Patricia Evans at his side clutching a designer purse. "Mr. Carter, is there a problem?" Eleanor asked, her voice dripping with crocodile tears. I turned, barely containing my glee. "Someone's blocked my property with an illegal gate." "Know anything about that?" Her smile was glacial. "This gate's on Crestview land. A recent boundary adjustment places your property under our jurisdiction. We've been trying to discuss our covenant agreements." Leonard, sweating through his suit, chimed in, "Our surveys show this access has always been ours." Patricia nodded vigorously, her pearls glinting. "We're protecting our community's value." I pushed back, ensuring the mics caught every word. "So, I can't access my land unless I join your HOA or sell?" Eleanor handed me an envelope. "Our offer's inside. Generous, considering your land's limited access." I took it, knowing it'd be a $200,000 insult for an $800,000 property. The next day, I met Eleanor at the Crestview Clubhouse, a gaudy shrine to wealth with marble floors, chandeliers, and a view of the Pacific that mocked my predicament. She kept me waiting 20 minutes, a blatant power play, before sweeping in with Leonard, Patricia, and Mike. "Thank you for being reasonable," she said, gesturing to a polished oak table. Mike loomed by the door, his arms crossed, his presence a silent threat. Patricia sat primly, her eyes narrowing as if I were a stain on her perfect world. I played hesitant, objecting to their $200,000 offer. "The market fluctuates," Eleanor purred. "Land without access isn't worth much." Leonard nodded nervously, while Patricia added, "You should be grateful for any offer." I left, feigning defeat, but my watch's recorder, a custom job I'd rigged with a 48-hour battery, captured every coercive syllable behind the scenes. Javier's crew was pouring my foundation via the secret road. We hauled in materials under moonlight, solar panels, steel beams, concrete mixers, the ocean breeze masking the sound of our work. Rachel's environmental expertise ensured we left no trace that could trigger scrutiny. My cameras recorded Eleanor's team's growing panic. When Mike found the construction, he called Eleanor, his voice tense, "Someone's building on Carter's land. I don't know how they're getting in." He ordered his men to smash a second generator and spray paint condemned on my foundation, another crime on tape. I watched the footage that night, my laptop glowing in the dark, and felt a surge of grim satisfaction. Detective Sarah Lopez, a 40-year-old cop known for her integrity, took over my case. We met in her cluttered Santa Ana office, surrounded by stacks of case files and a flickering fluorescent light. "This isn't just a dispute," she said, reviewing my footage on a secure tablet. Vandalism, fraud, conspiracy, this is criminal. The DA's interested. Claire's leaks, Henry's testimony, Lauren's recordings, and Rachel's permit documentation built an airtight case. I was ready to strike. The showdown came when Eleanor spotted my crew in full swing, a bulldozer leveling ground for my workshop, solar panels gleaming in the morning sun. Her BMW screeched to a halt at the gate, and she stormed out, her perfectly coiffed hair unraveling. "How are you in there?" she shrieked, dialing Mike. Leonard and Patricia arrived, ashen, whispering, "We need to talk privately." I strolled to the fence, holding up the 1952 survey. "You missed the public access road, Mrs. Caldwell. Legally restored, fully permitted." Her eyes widened as she snatched the document, muttering, "This is a forgery." Mike arrived, confused, and refused her order to remove these people. "If this survey's real, we can't touch him," he said, his jaw tight. Patricia gasped, clutching her purse. Leonard tugged Eleanor's arm. "Eleanor, stop before you make this worse." I raised my voice for the cameras. "Any interference is criminal trespassing. Detective Lopez has my vandalism evidence." They retreated, Leonard and Patricia dragging a fuming Eleanor away, her heels clicking furiously on the pavement. I filed a lawsuit against the HOA, Eleanor, Leonard, Patricia, and Mike's firm, alleging trespassing, vandalism, fraud, harassment, and conspiracy. Lauren's news contacts broke the story. Crestview HOA caught an illegal land grab. The story went viral, with local TV vans camped outside Crestview's gates and residents whispering in their driveways. Eleanor's empire began to crack. Claire, now fully defected, met me at a discreet Costa Mesa coffee shop, her sunglasses and scarf a poor disguise for her nerves. "I found more," she whispered, sliding a USB drive across the table. Emails showing Eleanor bribed Greg Torres and planned to siphon HOA funds for the resort. Her hands trembled. "I'm done enabling her." Then came a twist. Eleanor's son, Nathan Caldwell, 35, flew in from Boston, appalled by the scandal. At a courthouse hearing, where Mia crushed Eleanor's desperate injunction to block my construction with Rachel's permit records, Nathan confronted his mother in the marble-lined hallway. "This isn't Dad's legacy," he said, producing Richard's journals, leather-bound relics of a practical businessman. They revealed no deathbed promise, just regret over a lost deal. Eleanor's crusade was a lie, fueled by greed and a need for control. An emergency HOA meeting, streamed live by a resident fed up with Eleanor's reign. Nathan exposed the Horizon deal. Eleanor, cornered, confessed, her voice cracking, "I did what I had to for Richard's memory." Residents gasped, some shouted for her resignation. Patricia tried to defend her but faltered under Nathan's glare. The board fractured, with half resigning to dodge liability. Claire's final leak, bank records tying Eleanor to Greg's bribes, sealed her fate. Facing criminal charges, Eleanor agreed to settle. At a tense meeting in Mia's Irvine office, with Nathan, Leonard, Patricia, Claire, and Horizon executives present, we laid out terms: a public apology published in the Orange County Register, reimbursement of my $250,000 in expenses, legal fees, equipment damage, contractor costs, permit battles. The gate's immediate removal, Eleanor's resignation, and HOA reforms mandating financial transparency and term limits. In return, I dropped the lawsuit and not pursue criminal charges. Leonard, seeing the endgame, pushed for agreement, his voice hoarse, "We can't fight this." Patricia, pale and silent, nodded. Eleanor signed, her hands steady but her eyes hollow, her empire reduced to ink on a page. Horizon offered $3 million for my land, nearly quadruple its value. After sleepless nights weighing my dream against the memories now tied to that land, every sunset tainted by Eleanor's schemes, I accepted, buying a 12-acre parcel farther up the coast near Dana Point, with a view that outshone Crestview's. The aftermath rippled through Crestview. Claire launched an ethical real estate firm, meeting me for coffee to thank me. "I was complicit too long," she admitted, her voice steady now. "You showed me I could be better." Nathan apologized, his face heavy with shame. "Dad would have hated this. I hope you find peace." Javier and Rachel joined me for a beer at my new property, toasting to outsmarting the Queen. Lauren's exposé, published in a national outlet, won her a journalism award. Even Henry Walsh sent a congratulatory note, "Told you to give her hell." As I drove past Crestview's gates one last time, they were just metal, a relic of a battle I'd won not by brute force, but by turning Eleanor's trap against her. The real victory wasn't destroying her, it was rewriting the rules of the game. In coding, the best systems don't just block threats, they adapt, outsmart, and endure. I'd done just that, and the view from my new land, untainted by conflict, was sweeter than any HOA could ever claim. If you like this HOA story, so please like and subscribe to the HOA tale.